you through fifth grade station 1. The students will have 3 stations that they're rotating through, so roughly 5 students at each of the stations. They do their 3 days, then they move on to the next one. So I'll show you station 1. Fifth grade is all about water in the water cycle. So you'll see key vocabulary that's really important for fifth grade because it's a third grade standard, a fifth grade standard, and a seventh grade standard for the water cycle, and it's science and social studies standards. So we're really pounding it hard in fifth grade summer school. So going into fifth grade, hopefully they get really good background knowledge going into their fifth grade activities with it. So the first one is going to be station 1. And it's going to open up to the 3 days and the key vocabulary. So it has the key vocabulary with the definitions at the very beginning that they're going to use. And again, you'll see this key vocabulary across all 3 of the stations as they're going through. So hopefully they learn it pretty well by the time they're done with the 3-station rotation. Day 1, then they're going to go into and see their agenda and their goal. And then they have a welcome video from me introducing them to our water table. At the end, I'll demonstrate all the experiments on the water table. I'm just going to walk you through the lesson plan first on Seesaw. So every day starts with a video and an ebook. So the ebook is from Sora. It's an online book that they're going to check out here. We have plenty of copies for them all. It'll check out for the 3 days that they're going to be doing the activity. And if they don't know how to use Sora before, here is a video how to use Sora. It's on our YouTube channel. If you haven't seen our ETLS YouTube channel, it's awesome. That's where we're going to be posting the recording of this video. And so they'll check out the ebook. They're going to use the ebook each of the 3 days. And the ebook is just what is the water cycle. If students are accessing the materials in Spanish, we have an alternative text for them as well. There's a reader and a highlighter and stuff in the ebook that they can use for accessibility, and then a video for them to watch. Next, they're going to move into the experiment. They're going to use ice cubes on the water table here, how to do the experiment in the video. You as a teacher don't really need to walk them through how to do all of this. Each of the stations should be self-sufficient. There's videos on all the pages that need it, walking them through. So you're more just a facilitator of the 3 groups as they're going along. We try to make it as easy as possible on you. Then they're going to do observation on to what they're watching happen in the water cycle. And they have a lot of voice and choice in how they're going to be completing each of these 3 stations because they are in 5th grade. So they can either type out their responses to the 3 questions, or they can record themselves with an audio recording or a video recording responding to it. What we really want to see is their thinking and their analysis of what they're observing instead of just completing like a worksheet or something like that. We really want them thinking and making that learning visible. And then 2, they're going to do a compare and contrast activity at the end of the day, and they can do a recording or they can do a written response. It has their key vocab and some compare and contrast vocab that they can use for their response. Going into day 2 then, notice the color change of the background. So as a teacher, you can kind of just walk around and see, is everybody on the right day as they're going through it? So they move into day 2. Again, the same text that they checked out the day before. They're going to read the second third of the book that goes along with the experiments we're doing on the table and a video on oceans and condensation from NASA. Then day 2, they've been exposed to the vocab. They read about it in their books. They watched a video about it now twice. And so they're going to do a matching activity, matching the image with the vocab word. So they can come on here and say condensation. That's what's happening on this cup right here. And they can say water cycle. Oh, that's this diagram here that we have. And then runoff, where I can see this field is flooding, so I can do that. So they're just using the vocab with the images. And then they're going to do an experiment using our lamp on the table and see what introducing the lamp happens to make the water table do the water cycle. Again, they're going to do an observation, either write about it, do an audio recording or a video recording, it's up to them. And then at the end, they're going to take their computers and they're going to turn them around and take pictures of the water table and make their own graphics. So they've been exposed to the vocab, they know what it is, they had graphics that I provided for them. Now they're going to make their own pictures and label those pictures for it. So they're going to have a picture of the condensation on the walls. They're going to have a picture of the drops coming down from the sky as their precipitation. They're going to make those pictures for themselves. Then moving into day 3, it's their culminating day. They're going to finish up the book. They're going to learn all about rivers and lakes this last day. So they talked about evaporation and condensation. Now what happens when the water is actually hitting the ground? Where does it go? It goes into our runoff, our rivers and lakes. What does this look like in the US? We have tons of rivers and lakes. Actually, our Great Lakes hold just tons and tons of fresh water. And in Colorado, we're very special because we have the Platte River that starts here. We have the Colorado River that starts here. We have the Arkansas River that all start here up in our mountains. And there's lovely mountains on our water table that help bring that all together. So water is obviously a huge important thing in Colorado, especially, and where we're situated is a very, very important thing for the US. If you are noticing that after the first rotation, maybe not everything was done by that group, you can start removing some of the activities. You have full edit rights to Seesaw, so if you want to scaffold things, if you want to move things, you want to take things out, this is an activity that you could take out if you want time. We want to make sure that you have plenty to do, and you're probably thinking that too with all of the other grade levels that you're hearing from. We just didn't want you to have 10 minutes where the group's like, I'm done for the day. I don't have anything to do, miss. Oh, okay. Yes, you do. There's plenty to do on all of it. And then the last day, they're going to use the squirt bottle for the simulating the runoff on the rivers and the lakes on the water table. And so they're going to make a prediction and again, observation, written, verbal, or on video. And then in the end, they're going to bring together all that they've learned these 3 days. They're going to take all of their key vocabulary and they're going to make a script to make a video that demonstrates the water cycle on the water table. So we've provided them scaffolded versions of a script. So the first script is a mild script. That can be a student maybe that's not at grade level, or maybe a student that's not as motivated. Whatever the need for that mild script is, it's more of a fill in the blank with the key vocabulary. They can read the script and then they just need to film the video. Then it goes up to a medium where some of those scaffolds are removed, and then the spicy is really just instructions and they write their own script with just a little bit of like an outline for it to go along. And then they're going to create their own video. They are working in a group of 5, so it's going to be up to you as the teacher. Do you want them to make a group video? Everybody takes 1 or 2 vocab words and they're going to explain the process on the water table and make a video as a group, and then you're just going to take that group and just have one student submit it. You're going to have them do each their own videos. Really up to you and your discretion on that as to how you want that turned in. We just want them thinking and making and doing along this time. It's not about filling out a rubric, receiving a grade, or anything like that. We really want them exposed to the vocab and doing the experiments on this. So any questions? You guys ready to do some water play? Yeah, all right. So here is our water table. In day 1, it's going to be pretty simple. We're going to take warm water. If you have access to hot water, that's fine, and you want to help the students, tap warm is fine. And honestly, even if your school doesn't get very hot water from the taps, that's fine, just because our spaces are usually pretty warm. So I'm just going to pour the warm water into the ocean side here. I'm going to close up the lid. And that's going to start evaporating because it's warm water and it's in an enclosed space. Even not warm water wants to evaporate all the time, right? And just to help speed things up, I'm going to put some ice cubes over here in a little indented place. These ice cubes then are going to make this side much colder, and we have warm water here. So that gets the cycle flowing from side to side. And you can already start to see the condensation building up in here. It works better with the warm water again. The warmer water that you can have, the better. It just helps things flow. And because this is indented right here, it's lower for the ice cube area here. That allows the drips to all come together, and it starts that precipitation is what we really want to see on day 1. Now, it's not instantaneous. Our students love TikTok and they like the 30-second, 1-minute things where I learn something new or I watch somebody dance for 1 minute and then scroll on to the next one, right? It's an experiment. It takes time. Water just doesn't evaporate right away, but it does start to go. So you can start to see the drips coming through. The drips for the precipitation come from the melting of the ice and the condensation that's around the ice, and that's just simulating the cloud area. That's why it has this kind of white cloud looking area here. So that water cycle is going. So that's day one, is precipitation. Day two, then, we're gonna introduce the heat lamp. So they're gonna come in the next day, they're gonna turn on this lamp, and it's going to warm the oceans. So 2/3 of the earth is covered in ocean. That's where we get most of our fresh water from for our precipitation. So this is gonna start warming things up. And again, just like day one, if we wanna have warm water and ice cubes, that just helps the process, but you don't need it. Ice cubes might not be accessible in your location. A lot of times they're at a nursing station, if you have a nurse station. You can just use cold water to dump on this side just to cool it down. That's a-okay. And you might need to use like ice cube trays and a freezer at your building, but for the 5th grade rotation, it is nice to have ice, but you don't need it. You can just use cold water on this side and hot water, and it will have the process going for it. The heat lamp, then you'll actually start to notice it's taking away the condensation over here, really warming up the water, and then it's much colder on this side, so this is where the condensation really starts to build and condense into the precipitation. So it starts that process going even faster by adding in the heat lamp sun that we're doing the experiment with. Okay, so it takes a little bit of time. You can see it's starting to go here. You wait 5 minutes, you wait 8 minutes, you wait 10 minutes. It really starts to go. It really starts to drip as things are going along. So then day 3, we're going to remove the cover, and we're going to have a little fun with the squirt bottle. What can go wrong with squirt bottle in 5th grade? Hands?
In the eye.
Ah, yeah. So this is where teacher discretion is. Do you trust your students to do the squirt bottle themselves? Are you going to want to model it for them? Are you going to set parameters? Are you going to pre-teach your expectations if they're going to have the squirt bottle before then you have to take it away? It's up to you. Use your discretion, but what we're going to do is we're going to simulate really fast precipitation so we can see the rivers and lakes. So I have lakes kind of indents here and little channels that are painted blue for the rivers. And I'm just gonna take mine here. Yeah, feel free to stand up. And I'm gonna spray like in this valley, and what happens, I get like a flash flood that comes in. I have 2 little lakes here in the mountains that fill in with water. And again, day 3 is all about rivers and lakes. So what's happening, as I'm spraying here, I can see the rivers really start to overflow. We can talk about flash flooding here in Colorado when our big rainstorms hit the mountains and what happens. I can spray in different places. I even had a teacher have an idea of I can put ice cubes up here, and then what happens when when the spring runoff starts to come down from the melting snowpack. You can do a bunch of different things with it, but really it's just fun. It's satisfying to be spraying the water and watching it condense down into the rivers and the lakes, and then do all that. And again, the culminating task is making a video where they're showing each of these pieces either as a group or as individuals to do it. So, questions about the water table and playing with water? Okay. It's fun. Hopefully students really enjoy it. Obviously a couple of little things with the spray bottle and the ice cubes and stuff like that you have to think through. But otherwise it's really self-contained, and Seesaw has all of the videos how to do each of the pieces.